The Kremlin has set the tone for its approach to leading the UN Security Council in a new foreign policy concept which promotes the formation of an anti-Western coalition, according to a US think tank. The document, presented to Vladimir Putin by his foreign minister, claims most of the world wants relations with Russia and that the country will aim to give opportunities to non-Western world powers to undermine US hegemony. The Kremlin likely decided to release the new foreign policy concept on the eve of assuming the presidency of the United Nations Security Council in order to set informational conditions for future rhetorical efforts at the UN aimed at forming an anti-Western coalition, said the Institute for the Study of War. Russia's declining economic power and degraded military effort in Ukraine continue to offer little incentive to countries to express serious interest in the proposal. The analysts previously said Russia will likely weaponize its presidency of the UNSC as a method of Russian power projection. Russian President Vladimir Putin on March 31 signed a decree on a new version of the Russian foreign policy concept, listing the United States as the main security threat to Russia, CNN reported. Moscow considers Washington's course as the main source of risks for its own and international security, for peace and the just development of mankind as a whole, the document says. Russia's Minister of Foreign Affairs Sergei Lavrov said the logic of the 42-page document reflects changes in the foreign policy agenda after the beginning of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. In the updated concept, the United States is referred to as the main anti-Russian agitator, said Lavrov. The main objectives of Moscow's foreign policy involve the strengthening of military cooperation with allies and elimination of U.S. dominance in world affairs. The doctrine also says that anti-Russian steps made by unfriendly states will be firmly stopped if necessary. Another point of the new concept states that China and India are considered Russia's strategic partners. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said on April 1 that necessary measures are being taken to increase the Russian army's ammunition stocks for its war against Ukraine. In a statement published on the Russian Defense Ministry's Telegram channel, Shoigu said that the volume of the most demanded ammunition has been determined. He claimed that Russia's production capacities have increased by multiple times despite the Western sanctions targeting its defense sector, adding that this concerns both conventional and high-precision types of weapons. Shoigu's statement during a meeting at the headquarters of the Joint Group of Russian Troops on April 1 comes amid Ukrainian and international observers' reports that the Russian army is slowly running out of ammunition stocks, which it relied on in its tactics in Ukraine. A 5-month-old boy has been killed by Russian artillery fire in Avdiivka, Ukraine, according to the region's governor and confirmed by the presidential office. Donetsk Governor Pavlo Kirilenko said a second person was killed by the 3 rounds of rockets fired at the frontline city, which also damaged houses in 6 streets. Before the Russian invasion, approximately 25,000 people lived in the city, but just 2,000 civilians now remain. Elsewhere in the Donetsk region, another 5 rockets were fired at Drushkivka, located behind the Bakhmut front. The attacks wounded a civilian and hit a bank, educational institution and apartments, the governor said. More shelling was reported across the district, including Soledar, Volodar, Lysychansk, and Bakhmut itself. Wimbledon is not the only sporting competition grappling with the participation of Russian and Belarusian athletes. The International Olympic Committee has suggested there are far too many wars to ban them from the Games. It criticized Ukraine's decision not to allow its athletes to compete against Russians in qualifying events for the 2024 event in Paris. Ukrainian Minister Ola Nemchinov announced the policy yesterday after the IOC recommended the return of Russian and Belarusian athletes as neutrals to international competitions. If implemented, such a decision would only hurt the Ukrainian athlete community, and in no way impact the war that the world wants to stop, and that the IOC has so vehemently condemned, the Olympic body said in a statement.